us today. I'm in sunny California. So if anyone's enjoying October, I am. Great. Thanks for joining us on the broadcast. What I'm going to do today, this is a promotional webinar for our MAPS class, Marathon Lead Generation Conversion. And what I want to do today is give you a really good in-depth overview of what we do and how we do it in the class. So it's going to be very heavy on content and not very heavy on promotional material. So I'm going to jump right in. We do start right on time in the class. So thanks for being on, and let's jump right in. So I'll start with a little bit of background about me, who I am, and why I'm valid to teach this. I've been in real estate for 13 years. I've been at Keller Williams for 11 years. August is my 11th year, and I'm so grateful to have joined the company. I've been so grateful to benefit from so much of the training that MAPS offers, that Keller Williams offers. So it's a real honor for me to be able to give back through this program. So I call myself a training junkie. I take the most training classes, I'm sure, of anyone in my market center of 400 agents. I just finished Bold. I went to San Marino for the 8th time in a row this year. I will be in Boston next week for 5 days of training with various classes being held there. So anyways, I think training is the most important thing you can do. I think that the idea of working harder is just the wrong idea. I think the idea of working smarter is exactly what we should be doing. And by training, by learning how to do things better and more efficiently, we can make more money in less time. So myself, I'm on a 17-person team. We will do about $125 million in sales this year, and that includes me being able to leave the office every day at 3:30 because I go into work, I make my phone calls at a high level, and I go home. And I'd like to show you how to do that. Yeah.
Hey, Richard, sorry. You're still sounding a little muffled.
Okay, let me adjust it. Here, is this better?
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
Is this better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. All right, sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
All right, so like I said, I run a 17-person team, and my goal every day is to leave by 3:30 to go home and see my kids. And I do that by executing on exactly what needs to be done at a very high level. So I sit down and I make my lead generating phone calls every morning, like the book tells you to, and I convert for appointments like the book tells you to, and that's that. It's that simple. It's not a more complicated business than that. Here's a few other things that I'm involved in. I own rental property. I'm an investor in a couple of market centers. I am a group coach, as you figured out through this call. I run a construction business and I have a pretty large profit share tree. And the reason I mention that is not to brag, but the reason I mention that is just to show you guys that all of those things start with lead generation, right? Everything that you do is a lead generation and conversion activity. So whether you're a salesperson who wants to find clients, or you're running a team or a market center and you want to find agents or new talent to join your office, administrative staff, marketing, whatever it is, all of those things require you to generate leads and convert leads. When you're hiring an agent, just like when you're meeting clients, you have to go source them through lead generation, and you have to convert them to come work with you. So I want you to understand that everything we do in every part of our business relies on these basic systems, and I guarantee you through this 5-week class that you're going to learn how to generate leads across any business at a very high level. The alternative to that is that all that stops right without lead generation and conversion. What I can tell you is by doing this for a long time is that I don't stop. Every day I come into the office and I generate and convert leads. Now it's easier as you get better over time and you develop a better book of business. But if I stopped, those clients would go away. Those clients would go away, and those people would find another agent to work with. So I have to continue the machine of generating and converting leads. So what I want you guys to do when we talk about being more efficient, the way this class started a long time ago was a live class called Marathon Lead Generation Conversion. We actually dressed up like we were going to run a marathon. There's some photos online you can find related to that. And what I did was I was really focused on teaching people how to make more phone calls in a shorter amount of time. I identified very early on that many people were unfocused when they sat down to make calls, and by being unfocused, they would make fewer phone calls per hour, and of course they would have lower results, even though they were working the same amount of time. So originally we were teaching people how to be more efficient at making calls. We still start with that as the basis of the class, the idea that when you're going to work, that you're really showing up to work and really working as efficiently as possible for the time that you're doing it. But now that there's a lot of auto dialers out there, with other programs, and a lot of you guys are on Autodialers.
Hey, Richard. Sorry to bother you again.
Yeah.
Can you try, would it be an option for you to use a landline versus your headset?
We don't have landlines here. Because I'm at a different Keller Williams today, and they don't have landlines. But we can re-record it also later and resend it out.
Okay. Can you use your cell phone? You just sound very muffled, and the sound is going in and out.
All right, let me try. I'm really sorry about this, guys. Let me try to jump on the Wi-Fi here. Maybe that will help boost the signal quality. Here, I'm on the Wi-Fi now. That might boost the signal a little bit. Is that better?
Yeah, it sounds better.
All right, sorry about that, guys. We normally do the calls from the same office, but I'm off-site doing a training today, so I'm just in the conference room. So the point of what I was getting through is that we really want to focus on how to be purposeful and efficient in what we're doing. So if you're not using Autodialer yet, we do have a full Autodialer training embedded within the course because that is going to be the future. It's really the present of how you're going to be contacting your interviews, but if you're not, we want that to be the future for you. So in the meantime, and really as a way to learn how to do other things better, we want to really focus on how to make everything more efficient and more purposeful. So a quick challenge I'd like to give to you guys, if you'd like, for after the call or tomorrow, whenever you have time to really dedicate to this, is sit down for an hour and make phone calls. If you're not making $25 an hour manual, then you're really not taking as hard as it should be. So we find that people $20 to $25 manually every hour, every time, and they're converting for about 1.5 appointments per hour. If our people are on the Autodialer on one line, we should be hitting 50 to 60 dials an hour with the same number of appointments, usually 1.5 to 2 appointments per hour. So we're going to show you step by step how to do that in really very detailed methodology, because this is very simple stuff, but you have to execute it perfectly. So in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to give you a few actionable items on top of that challenge. We do have a bonus at the end of the webinar if you stick through to the end and if the sound quality holds up. What's really important to me is I want to give you guys a real taste of what we're doing. So there's very little sales pitch, and it's going to be really mostly stuff that we're going to do in the class. So I'm going to give you, to start with, really easy actionable items of what you can do today to increase the outbound call volume that you're making. So for me, I have a very clear process of what I do. I like to get my desk cleared off before I make my calls because I don't want to be distracted. For me, making my outbound phone calls is really like me, playing, in a basketball game, like if I was a professional basketball player playing in the Super Bowl, that's my sporting event. So I need to be fully ready for that 2 hours of outbound phone dials every day. I can't be distracted by anything else. I can't be distracted by anything bothering me. Oh, did I do that? Did I do this? So first what I do is I touch all my escrows, I touch all my listings first, and then I make my phone calls. So I'm doing that in the morning, every morning, and I'm going to pick up the phone with a clean desk, clean mind, and I'm going to really focus on doing this for 2 hours straight, no interruptions, or maybe with a small break in the middle, but really nothing big. The real key here is not to stop. When I observe people working, one of the things that I see them doing is there's a lot of pausing. They're looking for a phone number. They're thinking about who they're going to call next. They're thinking about what they're going to say. They're trying to prepare some information. When you stop what you're doing, your results will go down. So you really got to be prepared to go, because when you make phone calls, it's definitely the most exhausting thing that we do. And if you're not doing it at a full attention, you're going to burn your energy out, and you're not going to be able to complete your required dialing for the day. So what I want you to think about when you're doing that, some people have trouble connecting to this because it's a little bit of an abstract concept. What I want you guys to understand is that if you're making fewer than 25 dials an hour on a manual, or fewer than 50, let's say, on an auto dialer, you're stealing money from yourself. And for me, I'm really clear on that. I have 3 kids, and I want to be home and see them, and I have other things that I'm doing that I want to be involved in. I don't want to be selling real estate 12 hours a day. I want to sell real estate at a high level for a certain period of time every day. And I can show you exactly how to do that because we're doing it every day, day in, day out. So the challenge is basically that we're going to increase your outbound call volume. So I'm talking about if we can make small tweaks in what you're doing, if you can make 10 more calls twice a day 5 times a week, 50 weeks a year, that you're going to make 5,000 more calls a year. So the real goal of this class is to really show you how making a very small change in your behavior, let's say keeping your desk clean and being really focused on your phone calls, being purposeful in your calls, that you can make a tremendous number of additional outbound dials every year that will definitely increase your sales volume. Now, it's not asking you to work any harder. I'm not asking you to work extra hours. I'm not asking you to show up on Saturdays. You're certainly welcome to if you want to. All I'm asking you is when you come to work that you do it at the highest possible level. I'll show you exactly how to do that. Now, a couple other things that will help you with that, because it's not always easy, to get motivated to make these dials. It's not always easy when you're having a tough day or you've lost an escrow. So I want you to get really pumped up before you call. So I have a standing desk. If you don't have a standing desk, I love them. If you don't have the budget for a standing desk, you can buy a $30 cardboard standing desk. You can put your laptop on a bookshelf and stand up and call. I actually have to force myself to sit down when I make these calls, because otherwise I'm pacing around the room too much and you get a lot of bad feedback on the conference call. Get pumped up before you call. Think of this as your Super Bowl every day, that you have to come 100% ready to play as if a stadium full of people are watching you. Walk around the room, get pumped up, call with purpose. Get excited to make these phone calls. These calls are going to get you paid, right? I don't want to work a real job. I know you guys don't want to work a real job. I don't want a 9 to 5. I want to make my phone calls and go home. And so I'm really excited to do that. I'm really excited to not have to go to a 9 to 5 job. So why are we doing this, right? This is all simple stuff. I probably haven't told you guys anything that you haven't heard before. And I want you to understand that I'm not teaching you new things. I'm teaching you how to think about things in a different way. That I want you to do something simple but execute on it perfectly. And the reason why we don't execute on these things perfectly is we're not connected to our goals, right? So this is one more item I want to teach to you today as part of our promotional webinar here. So we cover this a little bit in the class, but I want you to work on this before you come to the class and before you join. This is really applicable now because it's business planning time. This is the time that you should be business planning for 2018. I have goals for each call. I know what I want to accomplish at the end of the year. I know how much I want to sell, and I know what I want to do with the money I'm going to make by selling that much real estate. And you guys need to have that crystal clear. I'm going to sell this much real estate to make this much money because here's a non-financial goal. I want to buy a house. I want to pay for college. I want a new car. I want a vacation, whatever it is. I have a really crystal clear goal down, from my big annual goal down to my goal for each day. So I'm really connected to my goal. And if I make my calls at a high level, it's going to help me accomplish my bigger goals. So right now it's easy to do this because business planning time, your market centers are all doing business planning clinics in October or have already done them or will be doing them soon. And if not, talk to your team leader. But it's going to be really important for you to connect to a business plan. Now, I'll give you a cheat code here for business planning, is that I want you to really connect to a dollar volume goal. And it's very hard for people to do that. It's hard for you to say, I'm going to make, 40, 50 outbound dials today because I want to go on vacation next June, right? I get that. I get that doesn't logically make sense in our brains. What I want you to do to shortcut that process, although you want to do the full business planning, is I want you to go through and I want you to decide how much each phone call is worth to you, right? Now, this started as an actual exercise where I went and I actually looked at how many dials I made one year compared to my revenue, and I came up with a number. I think it was like $30 or $40 per dial, and I wrote down a sign on my monitor facing me when I made my dials. Each call was worth, let's say it was $30, the first one I had. And then it kept going up and up as I got better and better on the phone, and I got a better and better database to work with. So right now I think that every call I make is worth $100. That's actually a fairly accurate number. If I sit down and make my dials, that each outbound dial on average should be worth $100. So what I want you guys to do is pick a number. If you're a newer agent, $30, $40, $50 is a totally reasonable number to pick. If you're a little bit more experienced, $50 to $100 is a reasonable number to pick. Write this down. Put on a Post-it note. Put it in a picture frame where you can look at it every day when you're working, that every outbound dial to you is worth a fair amount of money, right? Doesn't matter your market or your price point. This works across price points. So assign a value. We're going to work a lot on call reluctance. So a lot of you have call reluctance, which means that you're afraid to pick up the phone or you're afraid to call those tough leads. You're really excited to call your nice clients who always want to see properties. You're afraid to call the tough clients who are going to call you or be difficult on the phone. And to get through call reluctance, one of the things we do is we say, that call is worth $100 to you. Is it worth having that difficult conversation? All right. So the last thing I want to cover that I think is really the best part of the class for me and for my team And by the way, everyone on my team is required to take the class every time it comes out. So a lot of them have been through this 6 times, and we learn new things every time. What I want to do is really change the way you think about scripting. So a lot of the scripting that you've learned in the past has been memorizing scripts, and there's a lot of validity to memorizing scripts. So I'm not saying don't do that. What I'm saying is past memorizing scripts, what I want you guys to do is think about why you're saying what you're saying. And we're going to spend about 3 entire classes going into detail on how we script and why, because that will allow you to become an incredibly better scripter and conversation haver at the end of this class, right? We're going to really evaluate why each thing is in each sentence. So as a sample for you guys to understand what we're doing is I want to turn over what you're doing right now. What you guys are probably doing right now when you are talking to a lead is you're asking permission for an appointment, right? So I say, hey, Jasmine, it was great to meet you at the open house on Sunday. Would you mind meeting with me at my office, right? That's the wrong way to do it, right? It's not a bad way to do it. It's just not the best way, right? It's not terrible. If Jasmine wants to meet with me, she'll probably come meet with me. But if Jasmine's on the fence, then she's probably not going to meet with me because I'm asking her, and she's not understanding the power dynamic that I want to create in our relationship. So instead of asking for her, which puts me in a position of weakness and her in a position of strength, and if you think these are minor things, remember, we're extrapolating this over 5,000 contacts a year and probably something like 10,000, 20,000 outbound phone dials, right? This is a big game changer if you can increase your conversions several percentage points. So instead of saying, would you mind meeting with me, we're going to do a script called Tell, Don't Ask. And Tell, Don't Ask is a way of telling them what the next steps are. Because we have this idea in our heads that we're begging for business, that we're passive, that we're in the position of weakness, and we're not. People are coming to us because we're experts in what we do, and they want our professional advice. Imagine if you went to your doctor, and your doctor said, well, would you mind coming in, or do you think we should do this? No, your doctor says, you're going to do this next. The same thing if you met with an accountant or an attorney or other similar level professional. They don't ask your permission to do something or your advice to do something. They tell you what you're going to be doing. So think of yourself the same way. So I would say, so this is a buyer script. Jasmine, first speak to the lender and get pre-approved, and then I'll meet with you, and then we can tour homes. I'm telling her exactly what's going to happen. And the nice thing about this is not only am I telling her and taking over the power of this dynamic right now, is that I'm laying out for her exactly what's going to happen. It will never occur to her to question this process because I've already told her what's going to happen, right? So when you're meeting with a new buyer, instead of saying, are you pre-approved? Do you mind talking to a lender? Well, first this and then that. So we want to be very powerful and direct with them. First, I'm going to have you speak to my lender and get pre-approved. After you talk to my lender and get pre-approved, then we'll sit down and meet and talk about buying a home. And then after we have that meeting, I can arrange some tours for you. Right? By doing that, we're going to create a much higher conversion rate for appointments because we're not asking for an appointment, we're telling them that's the next step. And the problem is, like I mentioned before, it's very important to understand is that when someone calls you off your sign, or they come to your open house, or they contact you through your website or from a referral or any other process, they are coming to you for advice. They want to buy. They want to sell. We think that we have to ask them to buy or ask them to sell. There's a great quote from Glenn Ross, which is the best movie about real estate ever made. And the quote is, they don't come on the lot unless they want to buy, right? You have to understand when people contact you about real estate, they want an agent to help them buy or sell a home. The number one thing that they're not getting is direction from their professional. So let's go over a few more of these so you can see the difference. We go over a full hour of this for buyers and a full hour of this for sellers. We do some scripting as far as using pre-written scripts, but it's mostly the idea of training how to ask questions and how to say things to create conversion. So this is a seller script. This is a seller tell, don't ask script. So sellers, the best thing for me to do is to come to your house and give you a personalized evaluation. Is Tuesday or Wednesday better? And what I want you guys to see here, the real subtle difference, is we're not asking, oh, hey, Jasmine, can I come over and give you a price on your home? That's not what we want. I'm telling her I'm going to come over to her house. I'm asking her which day is better, right? It's a very subtle difference. It's going to create an enormous change in how you convert leads because people are going to be primed for different answers. So a lot of this comes from Gold and from some other math control that you've seen. But what we're doing incorrectly is we're asking if they want an appointment or not. I don't want to ask if we're going to have an appointment or not. We are going to have an appointment. The only question I'm asking is which day the appointment is going to be. And when you prime someone's brain to give you an answer, it's really important that you prime them to give you an answer on the right question. So if I'm asking, do you want me to come to your house or not, that's a question that may yield, I don't want you to. If the question is which day am I going to come to your house, the answer is going to be a day. And it's going to be very hard for them to do a pattern interrupt and give you a different answer, such as, I don't want to meet with you, right? It's going to be a lot easier for me to say, Tuesday's better, Wednesday's better, Thursday's better, right? So we'll go over all this in excruciating detail, and you'll have a really clear understanding of how to do this at a very high level, very quickly. So one more quickly that I can walk you through that's pretty simple to understand. I think you guys are getting that there's a pretty common theme here for these questions, is that we're really changing the dynamic of the question asking. So we'll take a look at that house, and then I can show you a couple more right afterwards. What time is best? That's a very simple script to set an appointment for showing a home, right? I'm not asking, do you want to see that house? I'm not asking, do you want to see more afterwards? I'm telling you those things are going to happen. The only thing I'm asking is which time are best. So it's the same dialogue as the first two, is that the appointment is going to happen, right? It's just a question of when it's going to happen. So we're going to work through all these different script ideas, because when you change the question from are we meeting or not to when are we meeting, the answers are much better for you. So that's a quick overview. So I hope I've given you guys some really actionable items. What I want to do is now, just so you're clear on what you're getting with the call, is I want to give you definite things to expect, right? Whenever I meet with a buyer or a seller, I have an expectations conversation. If I meet with a buyer's agent or administrative staff, we have the same conversation. So this is what I'm going to do in 5 hours. It's 5 webinars starting on Friday. So the first thing I want to teach everyone to do is how to double or triple your outbound call volume, right? The number one thing we need to do is increase the volume of calls that we're making. If we're not increasing the number of calls we're making, it doesn't matter if the conversion's better, right? We have to increase our volume of calls. We start at the beginning. From there, we're going to improve our conversion rate for appointments. The real key for me is appointment setting. We want to make appointments with people. If you're not making appointments face-to-face with people, you're in trouble. And let me explain to you very, very clearly why. Expedia was created because travel agents were a remote business that could be easily beaten out by a website. If you guys want to be beaten out by a website, then go ahead and don't have appointments. If you want to be strong in your business, have appointments. I am literally booked solid for the next 2 weeks with appointments with potential buyers and sellers of property, because my only job is to make phone calls and set appointments. So we're going to get real clear on what that looks like and how that goal setting works and how to actually make those appointments. Gary Keller says you need to make 11 appointments a week to hit your goals. And I do that, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do that too. All the habits that we're going to work on are going to affect all parts of your business, because a lot of these things are going to work across different things that you're doing, not just lead generation. Maybe it's conversion, maybe it's managing your clients, managing your team members, whatever it is. We're going to get real efficient, right? I hate waste. I hate inefficiency. I want to teach you guys the same thing, because I want to get the most that I can out of the least amount of time that I can. So a quote I heard that's sort of a little silly, but I've always thought was very applicable, is that we all have the same amount of time in a day as Oprah, and Oprah's just doing a lot more time in a day, a lot more with her time than we are. So how do we get to that level, right? How do we use our time so efficiently that we get to any level of success that we want? So we want to stop wasting time with poor lead conversion, because when you do an open house and you get leads and you don't convert leads, that's poor lead conversion. That's wasting your open house time. And you're wasting leads with poor follow-up. So we're going to go over very in detailed scripting for how to convert from open houses, how to convert for showings, how to convert sellers for meetings. What you're going to learn in this class is start to finish, how are you going to find leads, and then how are you going to purposely follow up with leads to get to an appointment. So we take you from meeting someone to the appointment, everything that you need to know. What's really important, what I want you guys to understand, is everything that we do here is exactly what we do on my team. My team has myself and 4 agents this year will do over $15 million in sales themselves, and they'll all do probably about 15 to 25 sales each. If you guys sign up for the program in the next 2 hours, what we'll do is we'll send you a PDF of a double-sided script card you can print out and have laminated, and that script card is what we have at our desk. It's all of our basic scripts. It's really more asking questions in scripts. It's all of our main questions that we want to ask, because asking questions controls the conversation, right? Also, at the end of the class, what we're going to have is we're going to have an Autodialer training, and that's going to teach you in-depth how to use Autodialers at a high level. My team right now has 4 Autodialers that we use, and we're using them constantly. We're making thousands of outbound dials a week, and you guys should be too. So there's the class. It starts Friday at 11 Central. It's 5 one-hour webinars every week for 5 weeks. All the webinars are recorded, and you can play them back, and I would actually encourage you to listen to them live and then also listen to them on recording, because you can learn more from each one. There's a lot of material in each call. You can tell from the speed at which I speak and the amount of slides that we've covered here in about 26 minutes. I want to give you your money's worth. We're going to get a lot of material out there. You don't have to get it all the first time around. The investment is $149. That's one of the least expensive maps classes you can get, and it's an incredible value, I think, because what I just showed you your phone call is worth, you're going to have to make 3 or 4 additional phone calls to pay for this class. The website there, you can go to marathonconversion.com or the kwrievents.kw.com website, and we'd love to have you on. Now, before I go, I'll give you guys my contact information. If you guys have questions about the class, whether it applies to you or whether it's going to cover a certain thing or not, let me know and I'll be happy to answer. You can find me on Facebook at richardschulman.com. We also have a Marathon Lead Gen and Conversion group on Facebook, which if you take the class, you can join, and that will have lots of printed materials that we use, lots of links to sources of materials that we're getting, and we're setting up scripts calls, we're setting up script partners. We're doing a lot to really focus on consistent high-level lead generation and conversion. My email is my last name, Schulman, SCHULMANRD @gmail.com. And when you're in the class, I will be answering your questions live on the calls, and then also afterwards, I answer every question that I get from you guys. So thank you so much. I'd love to have you on the call. You can log on right now and sign up for the class. And I promise it will be the best investment you make this year. Thank you so much.
Hey, Richard, great call today. Just before I let you go, somebody did have a question.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so they wanted to know if you were using Vulcan 7, Red X, or a different system.
We use Autodialer, and the training's for Autodialer, but a lot of the stuff that we train on is applicable to the other dialing systems. The interfaces are not tremendously different. So there's a little bit differential in how you execute them, but all the training as far as being efficient and purposeful and getting your dialer ready to go at a high level is all the same.
Awesome. Great. Well, that was the only question we had.
Okay, great. So I look forward to you guys being on the call. I'd love to have you on there at marathonconversion.com. And if you sign up today in the next 2 hours, send me a list, and I will personally email you our script card.
Oh, sorry, Richard, one last one.
Yes,
you referenced a movie during your call, and they would like to know what movie that was.
Oh, my goodness. Glengarry Glen Ross. If you guys have not seen it, you should watch it right away. It's about, it's a real estate movie. It's probably the only real estate movie, but you guys all seen the quote. It's where the always be closing line comes from that Alec Baldwin does. So, yeah, you have to see that movie.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for today's webinar. If you'd like to register, there's a sign-up link. And you have a good one. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Jasmine. Have a good day.